Hello there. It's a long time since I posted anything here, made a video, so I thought I would jump in to do the vinyl tag 2025 and start making videos again. The tag this year was set by Edwin, I think goes under the name of the Pretty Green Vinyl Guy. So thank you, Edwin. And I'll just jump right in to the first prompt, which is my best purchase of 2024, new or old, and this is the second album by the Sundays from 1992, and I bought their first album at the time and really loved it. Then for some reason I jumped into CDs and bought those. So this is Reading, Writing and Arithmetic, their first album, I don't think they released very many on vinyl in those days, so these were a bit hard to come across, but I found a copy of this in great condition this year, so that's been very exciting. I would love to find their third album, Static and Silence, at some point. Maybe it'll be re-released, who knows, but I'm not about to pay oodles and oodles of money for it. But anyway, if you don't know the Sundays, they late 80s, 90s band, and it's beautiful lyrics, really interesting lyrics from, what's her name? Harriet Wheeler, and jangly guitars and kind of indie pop really, but really beautifully crafted, and I'm very pleased to have this album. Okay. Moving right along, 50 years later, it says best album from 1974. Well, 50 years later to where we are now is 1975, and I think the one I go back to time and time again, I mean, there were some lovely albums made that year. Tom Waits' Nighthawks at the Diner, Pink Floyd, Wish You Were Here, but the one I go back to time and again is The Hissing of Summer Lawns, and this is by Joni Mitchell. And it has kind of slight jazz overtones, but classic kind of Joni Mitchell kind of songwriting. And yeah, it's just a really, really beautiful album. I think probably her best period for me. And I think she designed the cover too, so good on you, Joni. Third prompt, an album that defines a genre. I didn't really know this was a genre until I found this band, but this is an album by the American Analog Set, and their genre has been described as lo-fi or slowcore, which until recently I didn't really kind of know there were such words out there. But anyway, it is very slow. It's beautifully recorded. It sounds like it was probably recorded in a small studio with the whole band playing live. The vocals are the gentlest vocals imaginable, and the instrumentation all throughout is really beautifully done. I think this is the second album of theirs that I found that I ever heard. So it's one of my favorites. Maybe if I'd been aware of their earlier stuff earlier, I'd have fallen in love with those more, but I particularly love this one. So this is the American Analog Set, Know by Heart, and classic lo-fi slowcore record. Okay, number four, best band from your home country. I would say, I haven't pulled the record. I would say best band, well, I would go more local, because home country, England, there's so many amazing bands from England. And if I go more locally to that, to London, there are so many great bands from London. So I'll go more local again to an area called Crawley, which is pretty much equidistant between Hove in Brighton, where I was born, Surrey, where I grew up, and Chiswick in London, where I live now. And that band would be The Cure. And for some strange reason, I haven't pulled one of their records, but I could literally just grab one off of the shelf and show you one of those. So the album I'll show you from The Cure is this one, which is Mixed Up, which is some remixes of several of their kind of better known tracks. And I particularly like the extended mix of Lullaby, and there's an amazing mix of A Forest, and there's a dub mix of Pictures of You, which has just got amazing bass on it, and it's just beautiful. So The Cure, who are from my neck of the woods. Okay, an artist you miss dearly. I think for me that would have to be Nick Drake. This is Pink Moon by Nick Drake, who is a beautiful folk artist from England, and he sadly only made 3 albums. This is the final of his albums. They're all beautiful, and I can't help but think what he would have gone on to do if he'd stuck around longer and lived longer and been a more had a better life. Number 6, best live album in your collection. Well, I don't have a lot of live albums. I've got some, but one that I thought worth showing is by Hani Irani. This is an album from 2024, and it's called Nostalgia. And the reason I'm showing this one is because it was partly recorded at the Roundhouse in London, where I saw her last year, and so some of my whooping and hollering might be in the background of this. She is a kind of electronic stroke neoclassical artist, sometimes just pianist, sometimes just a composer. In this case, some of the tracks are more electronic. She was playing that night, just her and one other keyboard player, and yes, she was fantastic, really good. I'm looking forward to seeing her again a bit later this year. So live album Hani Irani and Nostalgia. Okay, moving right along. Oh, your partner just dumped you. What album to put on? Well, I think if I was in that situation, I would probably just kind of wallow in self-pity, and for that reason, I might put on this album by Richard Hawley, which rather aptly named as True Love's Gutter. And this is an album just full of regret and longing and lost love, and an album also that strikes exactly the same bell for me is this Frank Sinatra album, In the Wee Small Hours. And this is from 1955, and the Richard Hawley album is from 2009, so quite a long way apart, but they're both about kind of melancholy and lost love and introspection and failed relationships and all that stuff. So those two would probably have me weeping into my whiskey. Number 8, best sounding drums on an album. I'm not an expert on drumming or how they're supposed to sound, but there's a band who I love particularly, a post-rock band called Mogwai, and I often think the drum sound is really good. This is a bunch of collected EPs all together, and particularly some of the slower tracks. So Now You've Been Taken, and Rollerball, and Burn Girl Prom Queen on this album. They're quite slow, and the drumming is just really clear because they're quite they're quite sparse tracks, and I think, yeah, they're beautifully recorded. And yeah, that would be my pick. Okay. Number 9. Favorite artist is a member of 2 or more bands. Well, I think that would probably have to be Tom York, who is in Radiohead, and for a brief while he was part of Atoms for Peace, and more recently he is a member of The Smile. Okay. Number 10. Oh, I hate this one. Beatles or Stones? Why does it have to be or? Why can't it be Beatles and Stones? Yeah, bit of rubbish. Anyway, if you just had to choose one, then I would probably choose the Beatles. This is their album with the Beatles, with a beautiful photograph by Robert Freeman. And yeah, I'll choose the Beatles. But, you know, another day I might choose the Stones. Okay. Prompt number 11. You found a bag of weed. What are you going to listen to? Well, I don't really like weed. Doesn't really agree with me. Puts me to sleep. So if I found a bag of weed, I would swap it for a bloody good bottle of red wine. And whilst drinking that very good bottle of red wine, I would listen to this album, which is Vega Trails, and it's called Tremors in the Static. It's a jazz album. They're just 2 artists on the album, saxophone and bass, and there are some kind of some little electronic kind of background parts to it, but I'll show you this. It was very beautifully recorded in a church in South London, and the acoustics are beautiful on this record. Again, it's a very simple, stripped back album. The instrumentation is absolutely glorious. It sounds amazing, and yeah, it's a very good listen in the evening with a nice glass of red. Okay, an album from the 1980s you still listen to. I still listen to lots of albums from the 1980s. It sounds, Edwin, it sounds like when you wrote this, you don't listen to much music from the 1980s. But, you know, quite frankly, that's ridiculous. So anyway, this is one that I listened to very recently. This is the Cocteau Twins. This is Bluebell Knoll. And it is 1984. And it's got a strange kind of gape sleeve inside. The sleeve was designed by Vaughan Oliver. And yeah, I love the Cocteau Twins. I guess they kind of invented the genre which is now known as dream pop, but I think there's a lot more to them than that. They're kind of in a category all on their own to me. So the Cocteau Twins from the 80s. An artist whose political stance has soured you, well, that rather predictably would be Mr. Morrissey. So I still have lots of Smiths records. I like to think of this as a Johnny Marr album to some extent. So yeah, it would be Morrissey who's kind of like disappointed me, shall we say. Show a favourite record label. I think I'm going to go for 4AD, and this is a book I'm currently reading. Will that come into focus? It might do. I hold it there. Yeah. Book by Martin Aston, all about 4AD. I think they were initially a spin-off from Beggar's Banquet, or a kind of trial ground for Beggar's Banquet. And one of the things I really love about them is that they appointed one art director, Vaughan Oliver, back in the day, and got him to do everything for the label. And I really love the kind of confidence and bravery of that, to forge a visual identity for the label, as long as a kind of a sound identity for the label, which was all to do with quite unique experimental bands. And they've had a long career, and they branched into America, and the list of artists is huge. So I think, yeah, 4AD would be my choice. So prompt number 15, a run of 3 great singles. Well, actually, I've got a run of 5 here. These are all by Elvis Costello. So it starts with, what are the dates of these? Radio in 1978. A year later, Oliver's Army. Same year, Accidents Will Happen. Then 1980, I Can't Stand Up for Falling Down. And finally, in 1980 also, High Fidelity. So there, got 2 extras. Prompt number 16, a record stay purchase that you actually consistently listen to. For me, this would be John Martin's A Church with One Bell. It's an album I liked before it was re-released on Record Store Day. It's kind of quite late album for him, 1998. It's quite late in his career, and I think he was persuaded to do it. And one of the things that persuaded him to do this album of cover versions was that they said, if you do this album, we'll buy you the small church next to your cottage, which is what he wanted, which he turned into a recording studio, I believe. Anyway, that's by the by. It's got an amazing version of Strange Fruit on here, and an amazing version of Glory Box, which is the Portishead song. And yeah, it's all really good. It's a great album. So yeah, I play that quite a lot. You're going to be reincarnated. So this is prompt number 17. You're going to be reincarnated as an artist, dead or alive. Who's it going to be? Well, I think I might pick someone who's involved with artists, and that would be Chris Blackwell. And this is a very good book, all about him and his work with Island Records. And he wasn't just a kind of owner of a label. He worked with artists. He's got many a production credit. He would quite often match an artist with a particular producer or particular musicians. And when you look at the variety and the quality of people that he worked with, I mean, I just read some out. Bob Marley, Grace Jones, Nick Drake, Robert Palmer, Roxy Music, Cat Stevens, John Martin, Tom Waits, Tricky, Jethro Tull, King Crimson. It goes on and on and on. Yeah, I'm sure he had a great time setting up that label and working with all those amazing artists. So yeah, I wouldn't mind being him. Okay, prompt number 18, best 3 lines in a song. Well, most song verses have got 3 lines in them. Sorry, try that again. Most songs have got 4 lines, not 3. So I've picked two different songs that have got 4 great lines in them. One is San Diego Serenade by Tom Waits, and it goes, I never saw the morning till I stayed up all night. I never saw the sunshine till you turned out the light. I never saw my hometown till I stayed away too long. I never heard the melody until I needed a song. I've always loved that particular lyric. And another one I really love is New England by Billy Bragg. And the verse I really like, it goes, I saw 2 shooting stars last night. I wished on them, but they were only satellites. Is it wrong to wish on space hardware? I wish you'd care. Yeah, so those 2 would be my definite picks. An album you never tire of is the next prompt, which is prompt number 19. And this year, I've not been tiring of this. This is an album that came out in 2021 by jazz trumpeter called Matthew Halsall, and this is Color Yes. This is a very beautiful album. He has a full band with him, including a harp player, and it's beautifully recorded in Manchester. He's from Manchester. It's got wonderful sleeves by the Designers Republic, Ian Anderson, and also some paintings by Formwork Studio. And yeah, it's a really great album. If you haven't heard it, give it a listen. I really recommend it. And finally, prompt number 20, share your favorite VC channel. Well, they're all great channels, but one I'm particularly fond of is John and Hedley's The VC Jukebox, and that's not just because they've asked me to come and bring some singles along to the VC Jukebox, but because every time I watch it, I'm just hugely entertained by it. So that would be my answer. So thank you, John and Hedley. Anyway, that's all 20 of the prompts. Thank you for watching. It's very good to see you again. I'll try and make some more videos this year. Do my best anyway. And hope you're having a good start to the year, and I'll see you again soon. Okay, bye for now. Bye.